a delay in a Senate vote on new bank rules could be an open door for lobbyists. For more on that, I want to bring in NYU professor Rogan Kersh, who focuses on the impact of lobbying, has for several years. Rogan, thanks so much for joining us. And, of course, you wonder when you take a look at this set of legislation, how much the lobbyists have influenced this. How effective do you think that they have been?
No lobbyist could wave a wand and stop this bill, but they have shaped every little piece of it in one way or another. And what's interesting at this point is that although the bill still hasn't yet passed, there's so many lobbyists already moving on to the next stage, the rulemaking stage, where they know they can really work some magic, because out of sight, not in Congress, in the agencies,
right,
where almost all this bill is actually going to get written. All the details will be put there.
So work some magic. What does that mean exactly? What are the next steps for them?
One provision goes in, one little piece gets taken out, something gets snipped there and clipped there. We heard, your viewers heard a few minutes ago about Berkshire Hathaway receiving a big financial bonus because of one little insert in the bill. Other kinds of details like that will be cascading in. There's probably 1,200 regulations that need to be worked out over the next 9 months to a year. Lobbyists, in a way that you or I could never do, have mastered and understand every detail of that. So again, they'll add a percentage here, subtract something there, and it makes lots of money for their clients.
And do we know who's really controlling the lobbyists? I mean, do we just assume it's really the major banks? You mentioned Berkshire Hathaway. Can we assume that there's any lobbying money going from that company onto lobbying?
The money is coming from every side. It's not just the big banks or Berkshire Hathaway, the derivatives traders and so on. It's consumer rights groups as well, who are keen to see this Consumer Protection Agency get the kind of teeth it needs to make some difference. What we don't know now is, with only maybe 20% of this bill clear, they basically Congress is sending a 2,000-page love letter to the regulators. They'll work these details out, and every single player in this, from consumers to big banks to small business to the Chamber of Commerce, will try to have their say.
There was an interesting article last week in the New York Times. I don't know if you read it, but it was quoting Tony Podesta, who, of course, is known among the lobbyists of the lobbyists. But he was saying that, President Obama really exaggerates the role of the lobbyists, but because he does that, it actually increases the demand for the lobbyists. What is your reaction? Any
single lobbyist isn't going to have that much play, or you're not going to make that much difference. But collectively, you're talking about 1,500 former members, congressional staffers, 80 former members of Congress, folks who know this business of Washington inside out.
Right.
They're all able to, again, work some little piece of the bill to get something they want to accomplish.
And I guess the goal, though, is now, how do we delay this, right? How do we delay the implementation of these rules so that it doesn't affect our customers or our clients now, right?
Oh, they don't necessarily want delay. Some things they want to move right through quickly because it's a benefit to them. And in some cases, we think of the business community, for example, as completely organized together. Big fights within the business community, banks against retailers, all kinds of internal fights across the lobbying spectrum. So it all adds up to a kind of wonderful chaos. No single lobbyist or group of lobbyists is going to win all they want. But in the end, most of them will be able to tell their clients a very convincing story about success.
Just really quickly, Rogan, what about the oil lobby? Are they going to be gearing up after BP?
Oh, goodness, yes. BP's hired dozens of crisis management lobbyists. That's where you can really make a difference, to try to blunt the edge of whatever's coming for BP.
Rogan, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And certainly lobbyists is something that we've got to keep our eye on with the legislation going through.
Confusing world, but an important one.
Confusing, exactly. Okay, Rogan, thank you. Rogan Kersh of New York University.